Okay, we are picking up on Mem Vav Amud Aleph. I'm sorry, no, we're not picking up on Mem Vav Amud Aleph. We are picking up on Mem Hey Amud Beis. We are at Amar Abai, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're 10 lines from where the lines start to get wide. So Gemara says, Amar Abai, Netinon. Shnayim she'achlu ka'achas mitzvah l'chalik, that if two people are eating together, then it's a mitzvah for them to separate and not to join together to make the zimun. And again, according to Rashi says that this is talking about both for making the motzi and for benching, but it's not. But according to a lot of Mefarshim, it's just talking about for benching, that each one should do their own separate benching. Tani Nami Hacha, we also learn similar to that in the Brisa. Shnayim shachlu kachas, you have two people eating together, mitzvah l'chalak, and they should separate, they should make their own brachos. B'medzvar, when do you say that it's appropriate for them to each make their own bracha? Kishishneim sofrim, when they're each one of them are Talmidei Chachamim. So each one is fluent. Again, you have to keep remembering that in those days they didn't have Sidurim, so each one was, they would be doing it by heart. So if each one of them is confident they're going to be able to say the bracha by heart, Baal Peh, then they would go ahead and they would each make their own brachos. But aval echad sofer ve'echad bar. But if you have one of them is a Talmud Chacham, the other one is an Am Haaretz, or he's not learned. So from Berachos bar Yotzei. So then in that case, the Talmud Chacham should do the benching. He should say it out loud, and the person who's not learned should be saying it afterwards. He should be answering amen to the brachos to be able to benching with him. Amar Rava says, Hamilsa Amritzana, I said this thing, V'imritag Meshmeid Rav Zera Kavasi, and then I heard that Rav Zera said the same thing like me. Shlosh shachlu ka'achas. So this comes up all the time. You are eating a meal, you are eating, two people or three people are eating together. One of them wants to leave early, okay? And he asks, hey guys, can you stop eating so that we can go ahead and we can start benching? So, Gemara says, if you had three people are eating together, so one person has to stop. If two of the people want to leave, and the third one still wants to keep eating, then we all have that one friend who is always like the slowest eater of the group. So then the two people can tell the third guy, hey, stop eating while we make the zimun, and then you can start eating again afterwards. But two people do not have to stop their eating. If one guy wants to leave early, he cannot force them to say, hey, stop eating so that we can go make the zimun now, and instead he has to go ahead and he would have to wait until they finish eating. So Gemara says, "V'lo, do we find that if you have two people who are, do we find that if two people are eating, that they don't have to interrupt their meal if one person wants to leave? Rav Papa stopped eating for his son, Abamar, v'chad, and another person also that was there. So you see that they did stop for one person that was leaving. So the Gemara answers, Shani Rav Papa is different. But he was going, yeah, you don't have to stop. He was being nice, so he said, okay, I'll stop, and therefore, I'll wait until you, we'll stop eating while you go ahead and bench. But al pi halacha, they did not have to wait for him. They could have kept eating and made him wait until they were ready to bench, and then they would have benched together. Okay, next Gemara says, Yehuda bar Merema, you see, you have a story that's going to kind of bring this all together. Yehuda bar Meremar, Umar be Ravashi, Rav Achim Medifti, Krachi Rifta Ba'adadi. So these three people, Yehuda bar Meremar, Rav Ravashi, and Rav Achim Medifti, were eating bread. Lo hava b'huchad to have a muflag mechavri, and neither one of them was any more special, so to speak, than its friend. We're on the second wide line on Mem Hey Amud Beis. So neither one of them was, in other words, they were all on an equal level of learning. So, and they didn't know, in other words, if one of them would have been more learned than the other one, so they would have honored him with benching. But because they were all on the same level, they said, okay, we're all on equal footing. So what they do? So they said, Amri, they said, when do we say that three people who eat together, that they have to go ahead and they have to make a zimun? That's if you have one person who's superior to the other two and is learning, so then you honor that person that he leads them in benching. But when you have that everyone is really on the same level, that they're all at the same level of learning, so chilik brachos, if it's better, that for each one of them to go make their own benching rather than to have one person bench for everyone else. So the Gemara says, and Baruch Inish Lanafshin, and that's what they did. Each one did their own benching. They didn't make a zimun. Each one of the three did his own benching. They did it separately. They didn't do Rabbi Sign of Arech. And again, because again, the understanding is that it used to be that if someone was going to do a zimun, that he would actually do the whole benching for everybody. So here they said, you know what, it's better for each one of us to go to do the benching by ourselves. So then later on, they came to the Rebbe, they came before the Rebbe and they told him that we had this situation where the three of us were all together and we didn't let anyone lead the other one. We just all benched, each one made his own benching. So Amar Lahu, he said to them, Yidei bracha yitzasam, so you were yotze your obligation to bench, but you did zimun lo yitzasam, but you did not fulfill the obligation for zimun. So maybe you're going to say, and they said to maybe you're going to. He said to them, maybe you're going to say, okay, so let's go back now and say Rabbi Sain Varech. Again, it's almost kind of counterintuitive that they'd be able to do this because they already benched. But they said maybe we should go. Maybe you're going to say we should go back and say Rabbi Sain Varech, then Hishem Hashem Varach, and again without doing the actual benching. And he said, no, you can't do that. Ain't zimun mafreya because there is no zimun. Once you blew it. If they would have done the zimun beforehand, then they're able to do it. Once they decide to bench, then they're not able to do that. And the Mefarshim just explained that what their thought process was is they thought that maybe there's a concept of a almost like a public benching and a private benching, that each one individually had an obligation to bench privately, and they did that. So they thought, okay, but there's still this public obligation that we have when three people eat together that we have to make a mizum, we have to do a zimun. And he said that there's no such thing. Once you have taken care of the benching aspect of it, then you don't go back and follow it up with anything else. You're not able to do anything else.
Isn't it possible? Like it sounds to me like it's a bracha of a talk.
Well, again, they wouldn't be saying a bracha at that point. They wouldn't be benching again. They would just be saying the opening tefillah of Rabbi Sain of Areich and the pre-benching part, because they would consider that to be a separate. It's called like a bracha, but it's really not. It's not a bracha that you're saying like bracha to Hashem. Okay, the Gemara says, "Bao matzon kashen mevarachim." So, okay, what happens now? You walk in. You do not eat with people. And you walk in, and they are in the middle of making a mezumin. So what is it that you're supposed to answer? You're not supposed to answer what everyone else is saying. There's different words that you're supposed to say. So Baal Matzan Kashem Avarachim, if you come in and you hear that they're doing, again, this Rabbi Sain of Areich, Ma'u Amar Achareim, what is it that you're supposed to answer after them? So Razvid Amar Barachim Avarach, he says that you say that Hashem should be blessed and forever. And Rav Papa Amar Ona Amen, you just say Amen. And Tosfos says that he says you don't just say Barachim Avarach, but you actually say Baruch Hu Mavarach Shmo Tamid Le'olam Vad. But that's what the tefillah you're supposed to say. So again, you come in, they're making a mezumin. You did not eat with them. You didn't have cake. You didn't whatever. You are walking in on a mezumin. So the Gemara has an argument. What are you supposed to say? Below Pligan, they don't argue. Hadash Kechinu Deka Amri Navarech V'Hadash Kechinu Deka Amri Baruch. So again, when they do the mezumin. So they go Rabbi Sain of Areich, and then everyone answers. Then the person who's leading it answers, and then he says, "Nevarich shechanu mishalo." Okay, so when it says Nevarich, it's talking about that second Nevarich. So someone walked in and he said Nevarich shechanu mishalo. So if someone walks in and he says Nevarich shechanu mishalo, okay, then you would say this Baruch Mavarach, or the longer wording that Tosfos said. But when we say, if you came in at the end where they already said Baruch She'achanu Mishalov Tzvachinu, that we ate from him, that you can't say. You can't say that you're going to be agreeing with that because you didn't have anything to eat. So if you came in and they were saying the first half that says the Baruch She'achanu Mishalov, then you would say the Baruch Mavarach. But if you came in and you said, they already said Baruch Mavarach, if you came in and you said that they said Baruch Elokeinu Shechanu Mishalo, then in that case all you're going to say is Amen, because again, you can't say anything else. You can't say that you also ate because you weren't eating in that situation. Where it says, Tani Chada, Ha'ona Amen Achar Kol B'chosav Harizem Shubach. If someone answers Amen after all of his brachos, so that's very praiseworthy. Vatanya Idach Harizem Agunan. The other and others say that if you do it, it's disgusting. So what is it referring to? So Gemara says, Lokasha, Haba Banu Yushalayim, Haba Shar Brachos. If it's Banu Yushalayim, which you're bundling the brachos together, so we say, Amen. And then we each answer Amen to our own bracha. But for all other brachos, you're not supposed to, where they're not bundled, you're not supposed to be answering Amen to that. If you do, that's disgusting. But for benching, that's when we do all say Amen. Abai Anile Bekala. Abai, when he was, again, Abai would be benching for all of the workers that he had. So when he was benching, he would raise his voice when he got to B'nai Rachamav Yishlayim Amen. He would say it loudly. Why? Because atov ha'meitiv la doraisa. Because we're going to learn in a couple of blot the bracha of hatov ha'meitiv was instituted for the haruge beitar, which the Gemara is going to talk about that story. So they found their bodies were preserved and they were able to bury them, even though it had been out for a very long time. So he said it out loud when he got B'nai Rachma V'Shalayim Amen. He said that very loudly, because that way he was letting his workers know, you finished listening to the benching, that's doraisa, and now this next bracha, tova meitiv, is drabanan, and you don't have to stick around for that. You should go back to work. Okay? So he didn't want them wasting time. Not wasting time, it's the wrong thing, because again, a drabanan is still a drabanan, but it was quote unquote only drabanan. So he said for the workers, they don't stay to say a bracha drabanan. They would go back and start doing the work that they were supposed to be doing, so he would say it loudly. Rav Ashi, Rav Ashi, when he was doing it for his workers, he would say it very quietly so that he was saying to himself, he was answering Amen after his brachos, but he didn't want to answer it out loud. Why? He didn't want that the workers were going to think that the bracha batov ha'meitiv is only a drabanan, that they're going to think it's nothing much, and because they're all going to leave without saying it. So therefore, he would say quietly that part, and he would still say hatov ha'meitiv out loud for them as well. Turning now to Mem Vav Amud Aleph. Rav Zera Chalash. Rav Zera got sick. Alagabe Rabavo came to visit him. Kabbalah alay, and Rabavo said, Mispach Katina Charech Shaki, that if this was his nickname, he says if the short man with burnt thighs gets better from his illness, Avina Yom Tov Rabbanon, I'm going to make a yantif for the Rabbanon. We all had nicknames growing up, so his nickname was the short man with burnt thighs, and the reason why he was called that was because every 30 days he would sit in an oven. He wanted to make sure that he was on a level that the fires of Gehenna would not be able to burn him, and so every 30 days he would test himself. Again, not recommended. He would test himself to see if the fire had any effect on him. And one time he's sitting in the oven and someone gave an ayin hara, and he got a burn on his side. So they called, and he was short. So they called him the short man with burnt thighs. It's not like calling someone ace or buckaroo, but it was so that's what he called him. So he says if he gets better, I'm going to make a big celebration to celebrate that he got better.
Who is this from Reb Zera?
Reb Zera was the one that got sick. Reb Zera was the one who was short and would sit in the oven every 30 days to see how he's feeling. And Reb Avo said that if he gets better, then I'm going to make a Suda Soda because he got better. Yes. So anyway, so what happened? So he got better. Avatzudas l'kul rabbanan, and Ravo made a big suda for all the rabbanan that were there. Kimatil l'mishrin, when it came time to start the meal that they were going to eat, Amar leil Rab Zera, so Ravo said to Rab Zera, Lishla Amar, go ahead, you're the guest of honor because you were the one that was sick. We're making this suda for you. He says, go ahead, why don't you make the motzi for everybody? So Amar Rab Zera said to him, Lo savar lamar lahad Rab Yochanan, the Amar Balabayas Botzea, don't you hold like what Rabbi Yochanan said, that the Balabayas, whoever the host is, he's the one that's supposed to be breaking the bread. And the Gemara is going to explain why soon. So he's the one that's supposed to be breaking the bread. So why are you asking me to do it? So therefore, Sharalhus Rabbi Avo said that Rabbi Zera was right, and he went ahead and he made the motzi, and he passed out the bread to everyone. Kimati Lavrucha, when it was time to bench, so Amar Leitz Rabbi Avo said to Rabbi Zera, Nivrach Lamar, so okay, you didn't want to make the motzi, because you were right that I'm the host and therefore I should make the motzi, but why don't you go ahead and lead us in benching? So Amar Leir, Rav Zera said to him, Lo savar lamar lahad Rav Huna d'min Bavel de Amar, don't you hold like Rav Huna who said, but say I'm Mevarech, that the one who made the who made the motzi at the beginning of the meal, he's the one that should lead everyone in benching. And what Rabbi Avo, he didn't remember that the person who made the motzi is also supposed to do the benching, so why didn't he do it? Why was he offering it to Rabbi Zera? He holds, Ki hadam Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, that Balabais Potseav Arach Mavarech, that the host is the one that's supposed to make the motzi, and the guest at the table is the one that's supposed to bench. Why? Balabais Potseav, the reason why the host is supposed to make the motzi is Kadesh Yitzah Ba'ayin Yafib, so that when he's giving out the bread, he's going to give it out generously. Because if someone's a guest and he's giving out the bread at the table, so he's not sure how much he's supposed to be giving out, he doesn't know how much food there is, so therefore he's going to be very stingy with the with the food that he's passing out. So therefore, the host of the house is the one that's supposed to be giving out the motzi. But the reason why the guest is the one that's supposed to bench, because he's supposed to give a bracha to the balabayas, which the Gemara is going to go through what that bracha is right now. So therefore, we have the host is the one that gives out the bread, and we have that the guest is the one that would make that would bench, because he would then make the special yihiratzon that was in benching. What is this bracha that the guest would say? So he would say yihiratzon shelo yevosh balabayis v'lo mazed, that my host should not be embarrassed in this world, lo yikalim l'olam haba, and he should not be embarrassed in the world to come either. Which, again, nowadays, when I was growing up, I never heard this growing up. I don't think anyone ever did it. And now it's very commonplace when you're eating in someone's house that they have, most of the benchers now have this yihiratzon in there. So Rabbi Mosif Badvarim, and Rabbi would add on to this bracha that we just said, and he would say, he should be successful with everything that he has. And his property and our property should be successful, and it should be close to the city. Meaning, not only should he have success with the property that he owns, but it should be near him. Because a lot of times a person can be successful, but he has to travel on the road all the time to be able to make the money. So he's giving a bracha that not only should be successful, but he should be close to the city where he's living. And the Satan shouldn't be able to have any power over him or any of the work that he has. He should not be able to have before them any thoughts of chet, v'aver, v'oven are three different levels of sinning. He should not be able to have any. He should not be able to have any power over that. We will stop here.